What is going on, Miami Dolphins fans? It is Ben Morgan of the Fins Up Network. We're here today to do our first mock draft of the 2024 NFL offseason. Now, yeah, it's early, and yeah, we haven't even hit free agency yet. I typically don't even want to do mock drafts before then, but you know what? It's the offseason. We got a little bit of time to kill. We're going to be doing plenty, and I mean plenty of different mock drafts this offseason. We're going to do some regular 7-round mock drafts. We're going to be doing mock drafts with trades. We'll do mock drafts where they're offensive heavy, defensive heavy. We're going to do plenty of mock drafts. Don't you worry about that. I love NFL draft season. But today, this first one, we're only going to do the first 2 rounds. Now, the reason I'm only going to do the first 2 rounds is kind of what I already alluded to. It is pretty damn early in the offseason, early in my draft process. I don't want to feed you guys any BS. I don't want to talk about players that I haven't even dabbled into a little bit yet. So I haven't gotten to a lot of the late round prospects yet. So rather than me just picking names, BSing my way through, we're going to save all that. I'm going to talk more about those guys as we get a little bit further through the process. So for that, we're only going to do the first 2 rounds today. So the Dolphins have those first 2 picks. They've also got a pick in the 5th, 2, 6, and a 7th. I could probably feel comfortable giving you a 5th, maybe a guy here or there in the 6th. But like I said, I don't want to just be giving you guys names. I don't want to waste your time with that. Let's just talk about the first 2 rounds today. I am, as I've done in the past with these, I'm going to split my screen so you can see all of the players that are available. But that's where I want to hear from you as well. What prospects do you have your eye on? Who are you going to be selecting if you were on the clock with those prospects that are available when we, the Miami Dolphins, are on the clock? Go ahead, drop those in the comments. Curious to see where your head is at as well. I'm probably going to spend a little bit more time as well today talking about some different scenarios, some of the different prospects that would be available in the 1st and 2nd round since we're not doing the full 7-round mock, but we will get to that as we go through today's video. So here we go. Let's share the screen. I'm using the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator. So we got the Dolphins. We'll do 2 rounds. Let's draft already. And I also should say before we get started here, a lot of the prospects are obviously going to be gone. These mock draft simulators, they're a resource. Let's not put all of our eggs into these baskets today. We got to keep that in mind. Like if you see right here, Drake May going number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. going number 2. I'd tell you what, if Caleb Williams falls to the New England Patriots there, I think we're going to have a lot of upset Miami Dolphins fans. So like I said, use these as a reference. Don't use these as the Bible whatsoever. So if we're looking at some of the names that are gone, Brock Bowers lands with the Tennessee Titans. Jaden Daniels falls to 8 to the Falcons. We got the Jets obviously addressing offensive line. Lord knows that they need all the help that they can get with that. You got Quinyon Mitchell going to the Seattle Seahawks. So the Miami Dolphins are up. And as you can see onto the right side of your screen here, Jaylen Newton, defensive tackle. So if we were to part ways with Christian Wilkins, if we don't franchise tag him, if we don't sign him to an extension, if Newton's on the board, that'd be a pretty solid pick. That'd be pretty hard for the Dolphins to pass up a guy like that. Let's break it down offensively as well. For you anti-Tua people who want to see which quarterbacks are available, there's your list. I'm not paying too much mind to that. Running back, Trey Benson, number 1, still available there. Wide receiver, you got your main guys off the board. Tight end, like you said, I don't think there's any tight ends worth drafting in the 1st round outside of Brock Bowers. If Brock Bowers were to fall into those teens, late teens, I don't see that happening. But if he did, maybe the Dolphins could make a move to get a guy like Bowers. Tackle, you've got a couple of guys there. Fatanu is there. The Dolphins see him more as a guard, but he is still on the board at this point in time. You got Barton, you got Haynes, you got some good guards there on the board. And then obviously JPJ. Jackson Powers Johnson, not only one of the best names in this year's draft, but one of the best center prospects in this year's draft as well. He probably has my vote so far. We'll go over to the defensive side of the ball. Like I said, Newton is there. He would be super hard to pass on. If I knew for fact that, hey, the Dolphins are going to let Christian Wilkins test free agency, if they're not going to pay him, if he's going to walk, Newton's going to be hard to pass up on. I can tell you Newton would be a very, very nice pick at number 21. Chop Robinson still on the board there at edge. Obviously, you know our situation with Bradley Chubb and with Jalen Phillips and Andrew Van Ginkel being a free agent. So edge rushers a little bit enticing there. It just feels a little bit that you're pressing a little bit maybe if you went edge there. Dolphins, man, they would love to land a guy like Edgerrin Cooper. I would maybe hope that if he could fall to the second round, and that's a big if right now through this part of my draft process. I don't see him taking a linebacker in round 1. He's a guy that would be on your list here. Cornerback, who knows what's going to happen with Xavier Howard? Signs are sort of pointing towards him being released. If he were to be released, obviously you have a little bit of a need, but hey, that's why you drafted Cam Smith in the second round last year. So yeah, I wouldn't rule out Miami dabbling into the cornerback position in the draft, but probably not in the first round. And then, man, there's a lot of safeties that I like in this draft. And I shouldn't say a lot, but there's some decent ones that hopefully could be around in that second round range. So with that, I'm actually going to go back to the offense. Oh, man, I really like the idea of Newton. However, if you tell me right now that the Miami Dolphins would let Connor Williams walk, coming off of now he's got 2 ACL surgeries under his belt. I mean, a little bit deeper under his belt. It's all the way to his knee pad. Sorry, dad jokes there. But if he's not going to be brought back, if he's going to ask for too much coming back from that situation, man, you would hope that Jackson Powers-Johnson could be your plug-and-play option at center already starting in year 1. So you know what? You're drafting a little bit neat here. I don't typically like taking a center in the first round, but the way this team is built, with the needs we have on the offensive line, and with the idea of him being able to be a plug-and-play guy already from day 1, that's a pick that I don't want to give up on. For how enticing Newton is there, I'm going to go with JPJ. Like I said, drop your picks in the comments as well. Curious to see who you would have taken in these scenarios. I am going to, like I said, I'm rejecting all trade offers today. We'll do some more mocks later that incorporate trades as we go on here. Newton, there you go. Newton goes the next pick to the Philadelphia Eagles. We talked about Robinson, another defensive tackle, and Murphy goes off the board. Barton from Duke goes off the board in the first round. There's one of your safeties right there, hometown guy in Kinchins. Atanu goes end of the first, so does Morgan. Oh, let's see here. Yep, got some safeties starting to come off the board now. Edge rusher out of Washington there with Trice coming off the board. Edgerrin Cooper, he's not going to last to us there. So that's how all of the mocks that I've been doing this offseason, he's fallen in those like 5 to 10 picks before we pick in the second round. So obviously he goes off the board there. You get back-to-back running backs there with the Colts and the Giants. Oh, and then we lose the opportunity. So if you were to wait and try to take a center interior lineman, maybe you go Newton in the first round and you want to address that offensive line in the second round. Well, you just saw Fatano go at the end of the first. Now you're looking at 52 and 53 here with Frazier and Beebe. So you got 2 interior offensive linemen that went just picks before the Miami Dolphins pick at number 55. Let's go to the big board here. You got Leonard Taylor that fell. So once again, you can address the Christian Wilkins situation right there. Devondre Sweat, of the 2, I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where I don't know if you could go wrong at this point in time. I actually kind of like Sweat a little bit more than Taylor, but yeah, I mean, it's close enough. Let's go position by position again, just for the sake of being able to see who all is available at these positions. Obviously, I'm just showing you the top probably, 5 guys there in this situation. At wide receiver, so if in the idea of the Dolphins trading back maybe from 21 and trying to accumulate some more picks, a name that I wouldn't mind kind of keeping an eye on is Malachi Corley. That's a guy that I haven't done like my thorough research on him yet, but he brings something to the wide receiver room that we don't really have so far. Let me pause here. That we don't necessarily have in the wide receiver room right now. So no, I don't think I would take him in this situation, but man, he's one of those enticing guys where if he fell a little bit or if you accumulated some more picks, that would be a really interesting player to be able to keep an eye on at tight end. So now we've got some debates here because I really like Jatavion Sanders out of Texas as well. So right now he's definitely getting some consideration, at least from me. Got a couple of different, if you wanted to go double down on the offensive line, here are the guys that you would be looking at. Obviously, we already addressed the center position. Let's go to the defense. Like I said, Sweat is still there. Taylor is still there. Chris Jenkins is still there. There's some solid guys. Like I said, take these with a grain of salt. But if the Dolphins went offensive line in the first round and had their option of those three, you could throw Hall in there as well. Those 4 defensive tackles in the second round, that would be hard to pass up on. None of those guys are catching my eye in the second round. We talked about where's the name that I was just looking for? Oh yeah, Edgerrin Cooper. We talked about Cooper being potentially available at linebacker, obviously not making it here in this situation. Jeremiah Trotter would be a guy to keep an eye on as well. I've been told that the team has interest in him. Also been told that the team isn't super high on a guy like Cedric Gray right now, so probably not really on the radar in the second round. Kalen Carson, definitely done a little bit of studying on him. Wouldn't mind him depending on how things are falling. But, man, I just really want Cam Smith to end up being that guy. So I don't really want to double down on 2 years in a row taking a cornerback in the second round. We'll wrap things up with the safety. Like I said, a couple of guys there as well. This is where it kind of comes into play where, man, if you could trade back from 21, if it cost you a guy like Fatanu, if it cost you a guy like Powers, like Jackson Powers Johnson, that's tough to live with. But at the same time, you kind of open up your possibilities to land a couple more quality guys as well. And we need good quality guys on cheap contracts right now, the way things are playing out. But the way this one plays out, Dolphins fans, like I said, I've got a thing for Tavondre Sweat. So we're going to make him the selection. Well, I want to look through and see how the rest of that second round played out here. Oh, maybe it won't let me. Well, regardless, sorry, I failed you there. Oh, here it is. All right, so we were at 55, the rest of that. So Bishop did come off the board. Corley came off the board. A couple more wide receivers. Jeremiah Trotter went to the Ravens. Feels like a Ravens pick. And then Jatavian Sanders did go to the Chiefs. Maybe you got your Travis Kelce fill in for the future right there. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at right now. I'm trying to get back to my draft. So that's what I'm looking at, Dolphins fans. Jackson Powers Johnson in the first, Tavondre Sweat in the second. But like I said, I want to hear, what would you do in that situation? Talk about the prospects that you've got your eye on. Talk about the prospects that you would have selected in those 2 spots in today's mock draft. Like I said, first of many. And we're going to be doing some further out mock drafts as well. Well, like I said, I don't need to regurgitate what I said. You already heard at the beginning of the video. We'll be doing plenty of free agent work, draft work throughout the offseason here. That is what I've got for mock draft number 1, Miami Dolphins fans. Let's hear from you. And until next time, fins up.